Hernández y esta vez voy a entrevistar a alguien muy especial para mí. Ella es Joanne Tipping. Ella fue la esposa de Colin Tipping, el creador del método de perdón radical tan conocido en tantos lugares del mundo. Siempre hablamos de Colin como el creador, pero la verdad es que él siempre decía que no hubiese podido crear este método si no hubiera sido por su esposa Joanne. Es decir, los dos juntos, como pareja y como compañeros de vida, crearon este método que ahora usamos tantas personas alrededor del mundo. Entonces, ahora, después de 2 años de que Colin se fue, me pareció bonito entrevistar a Joanne y presentarles a la mujer que estaba detrás del hombre y co-creadora del método. Espero que les guste la entrevista. Hola Joanne, bienvenida al Zoom. Al fin vamos a poder conversar por aquí. Como te dije, esto va a ser una conversación más que una entrevista. La idea es que la gente te conozca un poco. Te voy a hacer preguntas acerca de tu infancia, acerca de cómo conociste a Colin. Y nada, conversar un poquito para que te conozcan como persona. Y luego, al final, te voy a hacer unas preguntas simples, divertidas, para cerrar la entrevista de una manera un poco más interesante. O sea que, ¿estás lista? Ya vamos a pasar al inglés, ¿te parece? Excelente. Entonces, pasamos a inglés. Yes. Okay, so now we're recording. So can you hear me?
Yes, and it's so lovely to see you.
Ah, so lovely to see you too. Oh my God. Okay, so we're gonna start now. Hi, Joanne. I am so happy to have you here with me. It's a joy to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great, Moose, and I really appreciate this invitation to do the interview. It's going to be fun, I think.
I know it's going to be fun because we are friends.
Yes.
And it's going to be a conversation. It's just a conversation between friends who want to catch up. And as I told the people who are going to see this video, this is about getting to know you as a person, as the amazing person that I know that you are. So, Joanne, let's start with, I would like to know about, I don't know if it's your childhood, but it would be more about when did you start asking yourself those questions, about who am I, what is life, when did you start your spiritual journey?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I grew up on a farm, and I have 2 older sisters, 8 and 9 years older. And because they're so much older, I kind of had to entertain myself. So I was one of those kids that had the invisible friends.
Oh, wow.
And I felt it was really a magical childhood, when I look back at it, how I would, sit in the tree and I'd get downloads from sitting in the limbs of a tree and just observing and being in nature, and not chatting with anyone or doing anything, but just kind of being. I would get a lot of good information even as a child.
Wow, but what kind of, would it be like talking to them or just thinking?
Well, it was kind of a thing in my family. My imaginary friend was named Coco.
Oh.
And whenever we'd end up someplace, I'd kind of open a cupboard or something and say, Coco's here. Coco's with us. I don't know whether it was male or female, but my invisible friend, my family, that's what they'd call it. My Joanne's invisible friend. I was known as Joe back then. So it was Joe's invisible friends.
Wow. So it was part of the family. Everybody talked about Coco.
Yep.
That's wonderful. And then what happened? Did you find?
Well, I got older and I forgot, I forgot a lot of things. And I think it was when I got in my 30s that I started remembering the magic of my childhood and the connection and the intuitive flow that I could just dance in, you know?
Wow.
So, and as a child, I was actually told that my 30s would be probably the best years of my life. But interesting point is that they were the most challenging.
Okay. Okay.
Because I had gone through my first marriage, which was 6 years,
Okay.
and I was 9 years single, and I was a gypsy for those 9 years. I would end up in different people's, second bedrooms and pay them rent for maybe a year or two, and then I'd move on. And so it was definitely a time when I didn't have a steady job, and I really had to listen to my intuition.
Wow. And I know you're an artist. Were you kind of doing any kind of art during those times, or?
Well, during the school days, grade school, high school, I was known in my class as the artist. But then in my 30s, I kind of had to make money. So I had to figure out how I could do that. And it wasn't really until I met Colin who kind of gave me that cushion to be creative again. And when he came in my life, he gave me that permission to be the artist again. And so that was wonderful. So I did that for maybe 10 years until he wrote his book and we started traveling. And then I had to give that up again.
Life has its mysterious ways. So, but I would like to know, what did you do before getting to Colin? I would like to also know about, did you follow any kind of, did you do yoga? Did you dance? Did you meditate? Or what were the books that inspired you before getting to meet, Colin?
Okay. All right. Well, I did do yoga. I enjoyed that. And also I got involved in the Course in Miracles probably about 2 years before I met Colin. So I was pretty well steeped in the Course in Miracles. I'd gone through it with a small group that kind of dwindled over the 2 years because it's not easy reading, it's not easy doing Course in Miracles for 2 years, but it definitely set a very good foundation for everything that Colin and I did together after that.
Yeah, I know. There are many, yes, Course in Miracles and Radical Forgiveness has, they are very close. They're kind of, founded in kind of a same point of view, you could say.
Except that the Radical Forgiveness is more about being embodied in the body and in the heart.
Yes.
And really listening to the body, listening to the heart. And the Course in Miracles is fabulous, but I think it's a little bit more in the head, But it could be different with different groups.
I think it's different with different groups.
Yeah,
I think so too. Very interesting. So, okay, so it was 2 years of Course in Miracles. Then, did you do therapy? I'm just curious.
Oh, I did the breathwork training. And involved in the breathwork training, there was, I don't know, I think we had like 5 sessions with a therapist, and it was a wonderful training. I really enjoyed the group that I went through the breathwork with, and that was expansive. That was really another step of expanding and understanding myself and other people.
And what about chakra work? That kind of work, knowing about the chakras?
I always had interesting roommates. So yeah, we would talk about those things and, share information about the chakras and what we knew and pass, information and books back and forth to each other. Yeah. So I had an understanding.
Okay. And what about books? Was there any book that kind of was important for you before?
Behaving as if the life and all things matter.
Oh,
It was a book written by the gal, and I can't remember her name, but she developed the gardens in England, where she grew herbs and flowers, and she used the herbal remedies. Okay. And, her process about, listening to spirit, listening to her own guidance, to how to set up the garden and set up a separate garden for the insects. And, it was just wonderful.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'll look her up.
I wish I could remember her name, but
it'll come back. So I'm asking all of these questions to you because, I know you, but I would like people to know you. And you are very, very intuitive, very, very connected to the body, to spirit. The way you paint, I've seen your work, is also very connected to spirit. So I wanted to know where it came from. Like what other, or did it just grow with you in life, with Colin beside you? I'd like to know a little bit more.
Well, okay. I guess when I started breaking away from traditional, paint what you think you see, realistic sort of stuff, and kind of started experimenting, was when I studied art therapy. And I studied art therapy before we started doing the cancer work. Oh. So that was in 1993. We started doing the work with people with cancer, and we did retreats in the North Georgia mountains. And I took classes so that I could use art as a part of our therapy, because I knew it was a right brain thing, and right brain thing, and that it would help. It's like interpreting a dream, and working with art with people is a way of getting stuff out of their head and out of their body onto paper, and then seeing it for themselves and going, oh, I had forgotten, or I didn't realize that about myself, or anyway, it was just a wonderful way of self-discovery.
Yeah, it is. That is something I wanted to study, art therapy. But I think I do it in another way anyways.
Yeah. I never got a degree in it, but I met some really good teachers here in Atlanta, and studied with them, and it was fun.
That I can imagine. So let's go to Colin, because of course we cannot not talk about your life together. How did you meet?
We met at a dinner party. My roommate at the time was dating Colin's best friend. Okay. And his best friend invited us to a dinner party. And there were probably about 12 people there. And I had just gone through the breathwork training. Mm-hmm. And the dinner party was to get people together that wanted to do breath work, as a group, and learn and grow, and, help work on each other. And so I was like, yeah, I want to go, because I just took that training. Mm-hmm. And at the dinner party, I met Colin. He was with somebody else, a really pretty young gal. And I thought they were dating, but they weren't. They were just friends. Okay. And he had just done his first class in forgiveness. It wasn't called Radical Forgiveness at the time, but it was a class on forgiveness. And he did that at the Center for New Beginnings. Oh. And when we started talking, and I had been through the Course in Miracles for the last 2 years, so we started talking about forgiveness, of all things.
Oh, your first date, the first time you met.
First time we met, it wasn't even a date, and this pretty gal was sitting beside him on the sofa, and I didn't know that they weren't dating. So I felt kind of funny, but all of a sudden, for me, the rest of the room disappeared, and it was just he and I having a conversation about forgiveness. So that was cool. And then we, went to the dinner table, and we had, spaghetti and conversation all around the table. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the evening, when, we left, my roommate and I hugged Colin goodbye, I went, oh, interesting. I think he's the one.
Wow.
And I was dating somebody else at the time also. So, it was an interesting dance.
So what happened then? Who called who?
Well, we got together as a group to do the breath work.
Okay.
And so it was kind of like Friends, that TV program. I don't know whether you get it in South America.
Which one? Oh, Friends. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we just hung out together. We'd go bowling. We'd do silly things. We'd do we put on classes on, chakras and tapping. We'd do all sorts of stuff. And it was through, just getting together and being friends that our bond became stronger.
That's beautiful. Let me help me understand how old were you? How old was he?
I was in my late 30s. I was probably about 38, 39, around there. So I was just coming to the end of my 30s. And I had taken the years that I had been single, with my money that I earned, I took mostly classes on learning more about myself and just things that made me curious. I'd just go take a class.
To become a better person, to become, happier, healthier, And did you imagine that you would be teaching workshops and everything eventually at that time?
Not at that time. I had a dream, and I was working as a freelancer as a bank designer at the time. So I was designing banks, and at that time they were small banks in the grocery stores, and I'd be the designer. And I remember telling my boss, who was a good friend of mine, that I'd had this dream where I was teaching. And he said, "Well, what were you teaching?" And I said, "I don't remember the dream, but I just remember teaching something." So then I decided, well, if I'm going to be teaching, I better be comfortable in front of a room of people. So I took Toastmasters.
Oh, wow.
And, the first time I got up to speak, my knees were shaken and my voice was shaken and my throat got dry. And so I was probably in Toastmasters for 2 years.
Wow.
And our first date for Colin and I, we were both pretty busy because we were dating other people. And I said, well, really the only time I have is Wednesday night when I go to Toastmasters. You want to go with me? Wow. So that was our first date.
Oh, going to Toastmasters, I can't imagine. I've heard so much about Toastmasters from Mike Dooley, because he always says it's a great place to go and learn how to talk to, in front of an audience. I never thought that was your first date.
Yeah, strange first date, but that's what we did.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So then what happened? Tell me what happened.
Oh my.
How did it become how did it go from being friends to partners?
Right. Well, what was interesting is that we were basically on the same wavelength. When I went to visit his apartment and looked at his bookshelf, I would say about 70, maybe 75% of the books were the same books that I had.
Wow.
And so the first New Year's that we got together, he took me up to the North Georgia mountains and we went to a lake and we sat on the side of the lake and we made up our New Year's resolution. And he said, well, why don't we also just project it, 5 years into the future? What do you want to do 5 years in the future? So we went off to our own little separate places, sat by the lake, wrote our list, and then we came back together to share it. And it was, we wanted the same things.
We wanted the same things. And can you give me a little peek of what would it be? Something that it's not so personal that you...
Right. Well, we both wanted to go to Australia. Ever since I was 12 years old, I wanted to go to Australia. So, and his brother lived in Australia. And at that time, neither one of us had money to go to Australia.
Long way.
But it was on our list. And one of the first countries that we went to after Colin started, doing his work with radical forgiveness was Australia. And we went there 5 times. And we envisioned ourselves traveling the world, staying in people's homes. We wanted to be in the home. We didn't want to stay in a hotel. We wanted to be with the people and the land, and be a part of their life and discover what their country was about for them. And so that came true. There was just so many things that just came true.
I'm a witness of that. You've stayed with me here in Peru.
Yeah, sure did.
It was so
loved
special. It. Oh, yeah. So there's something you said like a little bit before, and it was when Colin's work in radical forgiveness, or is it really our work, your work together? That's what I mean, not mine. I mean, because how did you birth it? Okay. He always said, he always credited you. Always.
Yeah. Well, I think it was magic when we came together. I mean, he had the discipline, he had the words, he had the writing ability, and I had the I don't know exactly what to call it, but the ability to hold space to create dreams. I was like a light that shone light on the path and said, if you spend 3 days a week, because he was a real estate agent at the time, and trying to do real estate and trying to write his first book, and it wasn't working. And I said, just give up real estate and we'll create a miracle. We'll create some other income so that you can focus on writing every day if you want. And that's what we did. And I got a good job doing renderings for architects and real estate agents, drawing houses, pen and inks and watercolors. So it all came together, but it definitely took taking the risk of letting go of what and holding the dream.
Holding the dream and knowing that the dream was for both of you. So, because, I mean, if you were working, supporting the house so that he could write, it would be like for the both of you. So
exactly. I mean, it goes back to that first New Year's Eve, what we both wanted. We both wanted to travel. So, he wouldn't travel without me, and I wanted to be a part of everything because I was curious and loved being with people and traveling. And at first, I was a little hesitant, actually, because I thought I was losing my job being an artist. And we took over my art studio to actually do workshops in our basement. And I had a full lighted basement. And so we had to stash all my artwork in the garage. And I was really kind of sad until I felt a shift. Something happened. I don't know how many years into it, but I had some friends in Texas, actually, that took me through a process that helped me see that I was the other leg, the other half of what needed to happen, and that without me, it wouldn't happen. So then I started getting that I didn't have to be in front of the room all the time. I didn't have to write the book. I could just hold the space for it to happen.
Exactly.
So then that's what happened.
That's what happened. But I'm going to go further. As being trained by you, as being a radical forgiveness coach, and now that I teach it, there's radical forgiveness it's like it has a masculine part and a feminine part. It's very like the first stages are very like calling, like very like first step, second step, feel the feelings, tell the story, feel the feelings, all that, which is very like psychological work, like more structured.
Mhm.
But then the other part, which is open to the possibility that there is a reason, there is a perfection in the situation, that is so you. That is exactly you. So it is the combination of the two of you. And
Right. I would involve the right brain. I would say I'd involve the right brain, the art, the dance, the physical integration with the music. I mean, selecting the music, that was always a fun thing to do. And so yeah, we integrated the left brain and the right brain, and when we taught together, it was really kind of a dance. We'd switch, and we just knew when to come in with the other one, and it worked.
It did work. It was amazing. It is amazing. It is beautiful and amazing. So what else do I want to know? How was the process of creating the workshops? How did it? Okay, then he wrote the book. We know that story. Then it became successful, and you started doing the work, like traveling. We know that. But how did your life change? How did you do it together? Would you sit down together and talk about the next book? What did it,
He would intuitively feel, what the next book was, and then he would bounce ideas off of me, and he would read me some things, and then he'd give me his manuscript to read over, and I'd go, yeah, but what about this? And we need to put something about this or that, in here. And one time, I guess it was the manifestation book, he said, well, then you just write a chapter, because I wanted him to cover gratitude. And he said, well, you know more about that than I do. So I did write, one chapter, but I wasn't confident about my writing at that time. But I'm feeling more comfortable with it now.
I know. I've read things that you've written, and they're very nice. I love your letters and the way you think. So can you tell us like little anecdotes, happy moments, silly things that happened, I don't know, during the years?
Miracles happen. I mean, so many miracles. I don't know.
Miracles. We love them.
Miracles happened. Just incredible. And to see, when somebody came in to the workshop on Friday night, and then to see them leave on Sunday, it was like, who is that younger looking person? Who is that person? They were just, they were so different. Mm-hmm. So I think that was the most fun part, is to see those aha light bulbs go off over mm-hmm. people's head, or the sparkle come back into their eyes, or them dropping the self-consciousness around dance and just feeling into the music and dancing, I mean, to see those moments, it was magical. It was.
What about training? Did you like the training part of it?
Colin was such a genius at teaching, and he was afraid that I was going to get bored about hearing the same stuff again and again. But for me, because I am kind of a right brain person, I need to hear it again and again. And he would say things in different ways and mix it up and come up with new diagrams and charts. And I would help him with the charts. And each time I did, I would get things on a new level. So I learned so much from him, so much. And I think we were teachers for each other. Yeah.
Yes. I've witnessed that. So, okay, let me ask you about other simple things, about how was it travel together all the time? You spent some time in half of the time in the States, sometime half of the time in England. How was that?
It was adventure. It was fun. We both enjoyed traveling, and it was fun. I mean, there was a time when we were just doing it in the United States. And then when we got that invitation to go to Australia and New Zealand, it was like, okay. And I remember singing, actually, because, of that first New Year's when we both said, I want to go to Australia. And he'd say, I wanted to go to Australia too. Mm-hmm. So I remember getting on the plane and singing. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I made up some ditty about, we're going to Australia, we're going to Australia. Just a happy, happy song.
Yeah. Okay. So what were the, if you could tell me, like best memories you have of teaching together? Like, for example, the time you were in which country or what happened, or like.
Wow. Okay. Well, I guess Germany was always a highlight. So many magical things happened in Germany. We were invited to some big event, and I think there were 200 or 300 people that did the circle ceremony. Mm-hmm. And we were inside in a big auditorium, and I had to stand up on a table, and we had two coaches from Germany that helped hold the other two circles, and Colin was in the center circle, and I kind of was like directing with the music and watching the circles and knowing when it was complete, and so that was an amazing experience to have 300 people do that circle ceremony. It was like the roof almost lifted off the building. It was one of those kind of feelings.
Okay, I can imagine that. I would like to ask you about expanding into love. Did you create that together with him? That workshop, and that it's about couples. And I remember, because I want to bring it back to both of you together. And I remember you both teaching that, and it was very funny. The way you talked about his socks, leaving them in the floor, and he needed to pick them up. You had this, it was very much like you had a comedy act when you were teaching together about what it was to be a couple.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we just used ourselves as examples about how things can be difficult, I mean, basically he wasn't easy to live with, and I wasn't easy to live with. So what do? You got to find a way to make it work. And radical forgiveness was our answer, and we lived it, and we learned from it, and we taught from it. And it was the magic.
It was the magic. Yes, it was. Okay. So, of course, now we're talking today, and it's been almost 2 years since he passed. I would like to ask you, how are you now? How are you feeling today? Do you still do worksheets?
How's your life? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, before Colin left, we kind of said that we wanted to continue communicating, mm-hmm. and we do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I ask him all sorts of questions, and I hear his answers. I mean, it may sound crazy, but it seems to work. I mean, just crazy, down to very little things. I mean, I was never good cooking in the kitchen, and Colin was the cook.
I remember.
And so now I'm left with not knowing how to cook. So we figured out a system where I could use a pendulum and ask him questions about cooking, and I will ask silly questions that I don't know the answers to. Mm-hmm. And the pendulum will say yes, heat up the rice by steaming it, or do this in comparison to that. What do I do here with this kind of vegetable? And he'll help me cook.
That's so beautiful. And what about friends? I've met some of your friends. I know you have a group of girlfriends who are great and have been with you all your life. Do you keep seeing them? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's been so supportive. I mean, during this last year when COVID was, kept everybody at home, I woke up at 2:00 in the morning with a terrible stomach ache, and I thought I had food poisoning. And I just stuck with it for about 2 hours, not knowing whether to try to get in the car and drive someplace, whether to call an ambulance, whether to call a neighbor. I mean, I couldn't figure out what to do because my pain was so great. I thought, well, at that time in the morning, you're just sitting there in the dark wondering what to do. So I did call the ambulance, and it was the time when people were not allowed into the hospitals to help people. But one of my very good friends, who is also a minister, just kind of flashed her card and said, "I'm here to support Joanne." And she got in the hospital, she got into my room and started telling everybody what to do, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, so it's good to have support and have good friends. I know that
I felt so lost and alone, without calling to call the ambulance or to help me through the stomach pain. I couldn't imagine going to the hospital, but I had to do it.
I can imagine. And also, who else is your support today? I know you have good friends. You live close to them and you play canasta. Can we know a little bit about that? How is your life today? What's happening to you today?
Well, during COVID, it's been kind of a mystery, every day blends into the other, but fortunately we have a very good community here. It's a small community, and there's been a few of us that have enjoyed getting together like 3 times a week and just going to the clubhouse and playing canasta or dominoes or, games of some sort, just so that we don't feel alone or, have pity parties for ourselves. We get together and laugh and have a good time. We wear our masks and, distance ourselves. And so that's been really nice. It's good to have good neighbors. And I have very good neighbors.
I know you do. And have you gone to any workshops lately? Because I know you're still
on Zoom.
On Zoom?
I took a belly dance.
Wow. Okay. Belly dance. I know you love dancing, but belly dance.
Yeah. And I hadn't tried that. I always thought it would be fun, and it was good fun.
Okay. And anything else have you done lately?
I'm doing one right now about the muse, getting in how to feed your muse.
Okay. Wow.
So getting back into the artist, slowly but surely.
Okay. The artist is very important. It's very important. I'm glad. Okay. So what about how do you see radical forgiveness now? What are your wishes? How would you like it grow?
Right. I am always affirming, and it's funny, when you put in passwords for different things. My password for some things, not everything, everybody, just for some things. I don't want to give my password away, but RF is alive and well. Is a password that I use. So it's like that affirmation, and I just see it continuing to grow, and I don't know how. But that was one of the things Colin said, you don't have to know how, just hold the vision. So that's what I'm doing.
You're holding the vision so that it grows. Have you had contact with other coaches?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I love to hear what they're doing and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that
I
feels
know.
good.
Would you like to say anything to them? Because I know many of them are going to watch this conversation.
Oh,
What would
wow.
you tell the coaches?
Just that I am so grateful that y'all, felt the call and followed your heart and are continuing the work in whatever way that you are finding works for you,
Mhm.
so that the magic continues.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So now I would like to ask you some simple and silly and funny questions
Okay.
so that we can get to know you better, a little bit more about you.
Okay.
So here comes the first one. Joanne, how do you call it? God, universe, spirit, energy, life?
Great creator.
Great creator. Beautiful. If there is reincarnation, what would you like to be next time?
I don't know. I think I'd like to take a break and hang out in a different realm, a different planet. This Earth, it's heavy business here. Heavy.
Heavy. I'll meet you on that other planet, I promise you.
And I don't know what those other planets offer, so I have to see the menus.
Let's see the menu. Okay. Okay. And what would you not want to be?
Ooh. A cockroach, they have pretty bad reputation.
I agree with you. That's beautiful. Okay. This question you already answered, but have you had an extrasensory or paranormal experience? And I know you've had, but could you tell us beyond Coco?
Oh, okay. Well, there are several, but okay. So one of the first ones I remember is I think I was either 3 or 4, and I was on the farm playing outside by myself once again. And I was playing in the sandbox, and I felt a presence. And I didn't actually see an angel, but I heard someone talk to me. And they said, you need to be strong. You will be leading hundreds, and you need to start now. And I just started crying because I was like, what do you mean I have to be strong? What does that mean? And what does all that mean? So that was the first kind of indicator that I was in training for something. I didn't know what it was when I was 4 years old. But the voice told me that I had to be strong and to start now.
Wow. Well, you've come a long way, my dear, and you've done a lot. So that angel must be very happy. Okay, the next question would be, what is your favorite word?
Favorite work?
Word.
Let's see. Favorite word. I don't know. I think dance.
Dance. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. What is the object, animal, or person without whom you could not live?
Wow. Let's see. I would say my guardian angel.
Oh, okay. It's been there always.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the happiest memory of your childhood?
Let's see. Um, growing up on a farm, we didn't take vacations very often. Um, because my father had dairy cows, and so he was up at 4 o'clock in the morning every morning, and then every night before dinner, he had to milk the cows. So that kept us pretty much down on the farm. But one summer we took 2 days and went to St. Louis to some park or something, and I saw a play for the first time. Wow. It was an outdoor theater, and I just loved theater after that. It was like, oh, can we go again? Can we go on another vacation? I want to go to see theater again.
Beautiful. So it was about art.
Yeah.
And performance.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. What are your shoulds or self-demands?
My shoulds. I guess it comes around timing. Being a person that hangs out in the right brain, I'm not always plugged into the time of day. Okay. And I sometimes get lost in my own little creative world and arrive late or forget a date of, where I should be at a certain time and what day it is. So my shoulds come around timing.
About timing. Okay. What brings you joy?
Dance, music, nature. I like being outside. The colors, being in the woods and that sort of thing.
What takes you out of your center?
Wow. When people feel the need to be right, I get uncomfortable because I know that's a part of my shadow. I mean, I really enjoy being right. And when I see that in another person, it's like, oh no, don't we have to deal with this again?
I get it. Okay. How do you recharge your batteries? Energy.
I think being in nature and also moving my body. Dance helps. Once again, dance.
Yeah. Okay. How do you disconnect when you are tense, worried, distressed? Do you have a way to disconnect?
Yeah, I think it's using conscious breath and also toning. I like to tone. It helps vibrate the vagus nerve, which, helps the whole nervous system.
And what is toning? Can you explain to me what that is?
Huge.
Wow. Okay. You have to teach me that. We'll do that on another time.
It's fun. The vibration kind of lines things up in the body.
Wow. Okay. Is there something you would like to do, but you don't dare to do?
I'd like to start traveling again, but I'm not sure with the COVID, if it's time yet. And I'm not very good about traveling on my own. I like to travel with people. It's more fun.
So you just have to get a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Maybe we can couple do something together.
Right. Go on adventures together.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Let me see. Who is the first person you would ask for advice on a matter of life or death?
I don't know that I know the answer to that one. I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough. What or who helps you believe in yourself?
Believe in myself. It really helps to read self-help books, I mean, if there's not another human around, which has been the case for the last year and a half, I mean, there are friends, but to really read some inspirational work, I think helps.
Go back to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you learn from your parents?
Let's see. I think I learned a certain practicality that comes from being brought up on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
It's practicality, and also respect for nature, respect for the elements, respect for the cycles, the cycles of life, whether they be spring, summer, winter, fall, or they be the maiden, wife, crone. Those, it's the elements and their timing, sort of things.
Beautiful legacy. Do you have a favorite quote? What is it?
Wow. There are so many. And of course, right when you ask me, I forget them all.
Okay.
So we'll just go on to the next question, because I know there's a lot of them. But
yeah, don't worry. Okay, what is the emotion or feeling that you enjoy most?
I think it's those aha moments. When I see the light bulbs go off, or in myself, when I feel an aha moment, it's like, oh.
And where do you feel it in your body? What happens?
Just an all over kind of shimmering.
Shimmering.
Shimmering, yeah.
And then what would be the emotion that makes you most uncomfortable?
The emotion, well, probably anger. I mean, it's kind of tough to deal with.
Yeah. And where does it express in your body?
It feels like someone is throwing red paint at me or on the wall or at something, and the red paint just is, messy. Messy.
Yeah, it's messy. Okay. What connects you to another person?
Wow. Maybe curiosity. Maybe intuition. I would say curiosity and just going with the flow.
And what disconnects you from another person?
Probably self-righteousness.
I get that one too. What was your favorite game when you were a child?
Well, this is back in the day before remote TV. And it was kind of improv, but we would pretend at that time, another girlfriend and I would pretend that we were watching TV or a radio, and we could simply press a button and turn the channel. And so one of us would be on a dialogue or telling a story or something, and the other one would go click, click, and you'd have to change into something completely different, like you were, the weather, or, like go into song. Anyway, you'd have to shift whatever that station was into something completely different. So it could be radio or TV, and you go click, click, and you have to improv.
Very creative. Do you have a recurrent dream? A dream recurrent dream?
A dream. I had one that I haven't had in a long time. It was where I was going along in the driver's seat, and there was no one driving the car.
Wow.
Or it was an invisible force that was driving the car. And in the dream, I didn't know whether to panic or whether to try to get in front of the steering wheel, or what to do. It was like I was always in that place of, is it okay that we're going down the road and no one's sitting in the driver's seat? I don't know. I still don't know the answer.
No. If you could make a rule that everyone has to follow for one day, what would it be?
Let's see. Approach everyone with an open heart just to see what happens.
Beautiful. Beautiful. How do you like to lose time? Like
just on creative spurts, whether it be working in art or sewing. Sometimes I'll just get a sewing idea and sew up something.
Creative again.
Yeah.
Do you have a dream that has come true?
Oh, wow. So many. Like the Australia, that was a big dream. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Since 12 years old.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. What or who makes you smile?
Kittens and puppies. I love watching those things on, I don't know, Facebook, I guess it is, where different animals become friends with other completely different animals and they hang out together and look like they're having a good time. It's just fun to watch. I just get all funny about it. It's like,
happy.
I get happy.
Do you have a guilty pleasure?
Chocolate.
Oh, that's mine too. What is the last song you have heard?
I was just playing some music earlier. Actually, it is kind of Peruvian music. It's those flutes and it's just happy music. I think I got a CD when I came to visit you or something, and I always play that lovely flute mountain music, and it's just, it's uplifting. I don't know the name of it, but it's definitely those Panamanian flutes or Peruvian.
And this, yeah.
Andes sort of music. I don't know.
I know it by heart, so I can imagine. Okay, what bad habit would you like to stop, but you don't really want?
Ooh, bad habits.
But you don't want to.
I have a tendency to really enjoy my mornings. And during the COVID, if it's a sunny day, I'll go out and sit on the front porch and have my tea and eat my breakfast and read or, text messages or phone people up. And sometimes that lasts a little too long into the day. I lose track once again and don't get things done that I need to get done.
Okay. But that's a beautiful habit. It's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, it's about enjoying life, actually. So, and the last question. If you could talk to your future self, what would you ask her?
My future self. Oh, wow. Well, that's interesting because one of the things that Colin did was he actually planned his death.
Yeah.
And I mean, not that he could actually plan everything, but, he got a group of people around and we talked about possibilities and talked about, what he wanted and what he would do and how he wanted it to look and how he wanted it to be. And I think that that's what I would like, is I would like my future self to be able to prepare for the graduation of death and to have friends around that were around when Colin left. And it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. And we were all there holding the space for him. And I think that I would want to somehow create that for myself.
Yeah. But you can.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, of course. Call the friends and tell them that's what I want and that's going to happen. Yeah. So Joanne, just to end our beautiful conversation today, is there anything else you would like to say to the people who are watching us now?
Well, you've come up with some amazing questions, I got to tell you. I don't know how I could add to any of that. You've been wonderful, and it's been fun. So I can't think of anything else. No.
You can't think of anything else. Well, I can think of saying that I'm very happy that you agreed to have this conversation with me. You know I love you. We've been good friends for a long time. And I wanted everybody to meet the amazing person that you are.
Oh,
so
thank you, dear. Thank you. Love to you too. And to the coaches and all the people that are working behind the scenes with getting the radical forgiveness message out there. Thank you. And I hope in some way that just little tidbits of its history can inspire something. Who knows what? So thank you for inviting me for this interview.
And thank you, dear. And I know I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Blessing. Bye-bye.
Bueno, esa fue la conversación con Joanne. Espero que les haya encantado tanto como a mí conocerla un poco más. Nos vemos en la próxima entrevista. Chao.